Hey everybody, Marcus Shan here. Hey, if you want to close more deals, bigger deals, and earn a wild amount of commission so you can, buy your dream home and create the life of your dreams, then I want to share with you a case study with my good friend and student of our program, Josh Patino, who did exactly that. He went from struggling in sales, he had a sales coach, he had closed one deal in that time frame, to joining our program, and within 6 months closed over $800,000 plus, earning nearly thousands of dollars in commissions, and has been able to buy a home and create the life of his dreams. Keep watching and enjoy. All right, what's going on? Marcus Shan here, and I'm really excited to have my good friend Josh Patino on here, a client of ours and a student in our program. Josh, do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Marcus. My name is Josh Patino. As you said, I am a regional vice president for a software company called Funnel Leasing, and I work in the multifamily real estate space today.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So now, before you joined our program, what was a challenge you were running into before joining our program?
Oh man, I don't know if I had just one, but I'll try to pinpoint it. Some context here is I came from the college athletics industry, and so I was a college coach. Made a career change and jumped into software sales, really not knowing much about software sales. And so I felt like I was living in two worlds: the multifamily space I needed to learn and understand this industry, and then the sales side of it. How do I actually sell software? And I think my biggest pain was I didn't have a process in place. I didn't have real coaching, like how am I supposed to do this, and how do I get better at this? I think I had imposter syndrome. I'm talking to now C-suite execs. I come from an industry where I wore sweats all day, and now I'm talking to CEOs, COOs, VPs, directors. So I think those are kind of some of the main three things. But I mean, if you break that down even further, how do I prospect, cold calls, cold emails when I'm advancing deals? Any strategy that was involved really was over my head when I started. And I was really good at setting the next meeting, but for what purpose? Like, what am I trying to get out of that? What are the next steps? So all of that kind of pointed me into getting coaching, getting help, and working with you.
Awesome, man. I love that. And, when you chose to, join our program and work with us, why did you choose our program versus any other program?
Yeah. It was proven. And what I mean by that is I was a little bit leery of, coaches. Like being a coach, a former coach, there's a lot of coaches. Not all of them are good. And they'll still ask you to pay. I had worked with one before and he was excellent. But financially it was hard. I hadn't brought in any commission checks yet. I hadn't really added to my income. And so I was a little bit leery, but I also knew that I was able to, he helped me kind of get my first deal. So Marcus, when I heard about you, it wasn't just you, it was the testimonials of what everyone else was able to accomplish and what they learned and what they gained. That was helpful for me to know, like, if it works for hundreds of other people, thousands of other people, it's going to work for me. And I think one thing that you kept reiterating was the point of you have to do the work. Like, there's no secret weapon here. Is I'm going to give you some tools, but you have to do it. And at the time overly willing, and I had more time on my hands than I do today to do it. And so I could really dive in deep. And I remember spending several nights, couple hours kind of going through, taking some notes on discovery and calls and scripts and proposals and negotiation and strategy, all of that. So yeah, that's where I came from.
Awesome, man. No, I appreciate that. And, I love because you're a student of the game. And I love because you being a former coach, you get how important it is for people to take action. So when you think about the program, was there anything in particular about the program that really helped you? What was most effective for you?
Yeah, I actually pulled up the program here. So one thing that was really valuable for me was the process, step by step, broken down. When you think about selling, and if I go back to coaching for a minute, you think about in soccer, goals aren't scored all the time. It's rare when you have a 13-0 game. So you how do you put yourself in the best position over and over and over again to score? And I see that kind of in sales is how do I position myself to advance these deals so that we get to the finish line more frequently? And the process was the first thing that was just good for me. I remember after my second or third deal, I started to map it out in a Google slide. And what does this look like for me? And if I were to teach it somebody else, how would I do it? So process was number one, and having everything broken down. I think the weekly calls were extremely beneficial for me. Sometimes I felt selfish because I was monopolizing the time, but having time with you to strategize and talk about specific deals in my pipeline was invaluable. I think those strategy sessions are so critical, and they can make or break the deal. If you're not prepared, rather than being super prepared and knowing them and helping them and having plan A, plan B, plan C. And, to me, it's like a chess match in that regard too, is if they do this, I'm prepared for this. If they react to this way, I'm prepared for that. And at the time I was also trying to build my brand, which I'm still building, but social selling was really key on my mind at the time when I was doing the program. And there was a section dedicated to that as well.
Awesome, man. I love that. I mean, and you didn't monopolize the time. I mean, I love the questions you were asking because we were able to get granular, and as a result, you had tactical things that you can go and implement immediately. So, for you, about how long did it take for you to see any type of results?
Yeah, fortunately, I had some deals already in the pipeline. And so when I started, we were at the finish line with two of them. And I think in that first week, I closed 2 deals. That month, I believe it was August, I closed a deal every week. So it was fantastic. And I attribute a lot of that to process, like putting myself in those positions. I also think putting the client, the buyer, in that same position where they're comfortable and they felt ready to. So I saw results pretty instantly. And I think the first step of prospecting and discovery, I was getting email responses back. And transparently, we had some events and I used a very easy sequence that you recommended. Call them and then send an email that says, I just called. It was probably the highest response rate to email I've gotten back, obviously centered around an event that was coming up. So there was an extra purpose there, but that helped me set more meetings, which then helped fill the pipeline for later, which propelled me for the rest of the year. And I think I started working with you in August, and I had closed only 1 deal as of June 31st. And then I was able to hit 800,000 in quota by December 31st. So
amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing, right? I mean, what I love is like, I remember like you were on the first call immediately after, you were asking questions. You're like, it was like an crap. I'm like, I have a meeting coming up. Should I do anything differently? I'm like, let's dive in. And then we tweaked it, and then you're able to implement it pretty quickly. I think it took you, how long did it take, do you think, to earn back your initial investment?
I mean, the first week with those 2 deals, it was, fortunately, I'm selling 6-figure deals. And so it makes sense. But yeah, within the week, I had virtually earned it back. What was even more rewarding than earning it back was the multiplier, in my opinion. Like I was able to pay it off and still make really healthy commissions, which I'm looking forward to a nice tax return, hopefully.
I love it, man. Yeah. More money, more problems. So, so I love it, man. So, you've seen a lot of success. When you kind of reflect back, what probably your proudest outcome?
Ownership. Like no more imposter syndrome, no more, I don't know what to do. It was more, let me try this. So the confidence to let's take this approach, but completely feeling ownership in my career. I went from, I have no idea what I'm doing and I don't know if I belong here, to this is exactly who I am. And now I can relate back a lot of, hey, coaching really helped me to be a good salesperson. But also I can do this. This is my business. How can I make it better? So, Marcus, you and I just talked about time. How do I value my time and how do I organize my day? And so with the ownership came freedom. And that's why I switched careers, was I wanted freedom of time. I wanted freedom of my career. I wanted to be able to choose. And so now I'm at a point where I have that freedom and I know, hey, I can take time off here and I can schedule things around it. Whereas before I felt really chained down to like, I can't afford to take time off. Like there's nothing moving here. So my proudest moment would be ownership for sure.
I love that. I mean, I have all these light bulbs going off in my head because this is the difference between what I call force versus power. Like when you're new or you don't know what you're doing, you're trying to force deals, you're trying to force opportunities, and you're drained. But when you have power and you're powerful in your execution, things are moving faster and better because you have power. Power attracts the deals. Force rejects them, right? This is what happens. So
that's a great point. Yeah.
If you were to think back, where do you think your life would be if you hadn't taken action and hadn't joined our program?
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest motivator to do it. At the time, like I said, I had some things in my pipeline, but I was worried about, am I going to get the attention I need? Am I going to get the strategy help and the tactical and the granular level detail for each of these deals? And you work on a team. So there's other people that are going to monopolize time on your team, or there may be other deals that are product dependent. So internally, I didn't want to leave it to chance. And I also felt like I didn't feel like my quota was an option. I felt like I needed to absolutely hit it, not necessarily for the company, but for me. And so when I looked at, hey, work with Marcus or don't work with Marcus, it was a no-brainer. I couldn't leave anything to chance. And there's a quote that has been on my mind just recently. But it goes, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I felt like I really needed to take a chance on myself and see it differently rather than, hey, this is an expense. This is an investment. And, candidly, and I'm perfectly comfortable saying this, is, something I missed today. Like I wish I had that today. And I hope in a month or two, I can get back to having someone that I'm working with coaching. And you can never have enough granular level detail. Like you'll never be too prepared or too thoughtful or have an approach that goes overboard. I think there's always improvement. And especially when you're dealing with people and constantly evolving times, there are things that you can always do better. And so that was the motivating factor was, do I do this now or do I do this later? And if I did it later, there wasn't, in my mind, there wasn't a guarantee that I could do it on my own. And I wanted to have a guarantee that, hey, this is going to work and I can do this. And it gave me that confidence boost.
I love that. So if there was someone that's watching themselves a little bit on the fence, what would you tell them?
Do it. Don't wait. Do it. Invest in yourself. See it as an investment, though. I think you have to see it as an investment, just like in education. And I'll say that Marcus will say this, and I'll say this as well, but you'll constantly invest in yourself to be your best. And I would say this program is for those that want to be their best because it's not overly hand-holding. If you want something, Marcus is there to help, but you have to be on those calls on Wednesdays. You need to reach out. You need to be forward thinking. So I encourage you to do it. Definitely was worth it for me and everyone else on his website and the testimonials that he's probably shared. So that's my advice. Just do it.
I love that, man. I appreciate that. And, and I think one of the things that some people get worried about, right? And I think you experience this too. If they are struggling, maybe they're not making the money they want. They're like, I'm just like scared. I don't really have the money to invest. What would you tell someone like that?
I didn't either. To be honest, I didn't either. I was surprised at the cost because I thought it was going to be a lot more. And so I was kind of bracing myself for no. And then when I found out what it was, I was like, talked to my wife and it was actually a little bit less than my first coach. And so I just felt like we can make it work. And I put it on a credit card. That's what I did. I put it on a credit card and, I was smart with my money knowing that I needed to pay it off. But after you close some deals and the commission is coming, you feel better. And it's not like it happened in my space. It took some time to get the commission. So it didn't happen that all after that first month. And so I need to be patient. But in retrospect, when you look at the investment versus what you're going to make, you're talking pennies.
I love it, man. I love it. And I think one of the cool things is now you're at the top of the game. You have so much going on. I mean, we just talk about how insanely busy you are, right? What if someone's watching this, they're like, I'm at the top of my game and they're on the fence about joining? What would you tell them?
Do it. I'd say you probably need it more now than you did before. You just didn't know because you've never been here before. And if you are at the top of your game, everybody catches up at one point and you're either moving up or you're moving down. There's no really plateau where you stay. And at one point, I think there's probably some pride like, hey, I've made it. I'm here. But I absolutely believe in the coaching philosophy. Like you can only get better with help. And the fastest way to do that is through coaching. I experienced that at the elite level, coaching players that were going to the professional from college. And that's one of the reasons why I do it and why I feel like I need it. Again, you can't invest in yourself too much.
I love it, man. Well, I appreciate anything else you want to share.
No, thank you, Marcus. I really appreciate you and what you're doing for everybody.
Absolutely, Josh. Thanks so much for being on. Appreciate you.
You got it.
All right. If you enjoyed this interview with my client, Josh, and you are interested in getting results just like him, closing a lot more deals and bigger deals, earning an insane amount of commission, really just creating the life of his dream, but also more importantly, building a bulletproof confidence like he has now, go ahead and book a call below, and you already see it on the screen. And you can jump on a call with my team to see if it's a good fit to potentially work together. Thank you so much for watching. Chat soon.